In the first part of air conditioning system, you learned how the air conditioning system work and what are the main component of the air conditioning system. Now I am going to teach you in the second part, if there is any problem occur, how we can troubleshoot that problem. Troubleshooting procedures. Here you can see there are the two gauges. Gauge number 1, which is showing to the low pressure gauge, means suction sides, and gauge number 2 is a high pressure sides. There are 4 possibilities of these two combinations, and this one is the shaded area, which is a normal of the low side pressures, and this shaded area is a normal pressure of the high side, and this should be correct. So in first combination, suction pressure too high, high pressure too low to normal, then what's the problem? Compressor defective. The possible effect, cooling power too low, and its remedy is replace the compressor. Second combination is the suction pressure too high and high pressure too low. In the both pressure if too low, then what will be the problem? Problems that expansion valve defective, overheating too low, wet operation of compressor, then its remedy is that replace the valve. And third option is that the suction pressure too low, the high pressure too low. In both gauges if showing the low, then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 causes are there, and you check all of them. First one is the lack of refrigerant, gas should be low. So possible effect is no supercooling, bubble in the inspection glass, high overheating, hoar frost on evaporators. Its remedy is check for leak and refill the refrigerant. Second cause, evaporator fins or air filter soiled, mean dirty. So what is cause? Cause is that cooling power too low, we have to clean, its remedy is clean. Third cause is evaporator fan failed, low pressure, shut off, replace the fan. And fourth cause is the expansion valve defective, suction pressure gauge shows vacuum because the valve has closed. So its remedy is that replace the valve. And fifth is the screen or nozzle in the expansion valve clogged. So its possible effect is that a high overheating. So what is the remedies? Clean the nozzle of the expansion valve. And fifth is that the filter dryer clogged. Possible effect is bubbles in the inspection glass, high overheating, filter dried cold, change the filter. And last cause is that heat power too low. Its possible effect is the frequent low pressure shut off, thawing thermostat, rotatory thermostat, switching too frequently. So its remedy is check the control, because there are the two thermostats. One is the rotary, we switch through the switch, and second one is the thawing. Thawing mean to melt the ice. And fourth combination is the suction pressure normal and low pressure is normal, but the high pressure is too high. So what causes can be occur? So cause 1 is the condenser dirty, so high hot gas temperature, low cooling power. So what's have to do? Clean the condensers. Condenser fan failed, so its possible effect is that a high hot gas temperature, high pressure shutdown, and its remedy is repair the fan. Number 3 cause is overfilled. High hot gas temperature, low supercooling, low cooling power, and its remedy is correct the filling capacity. Yani you have draw some refrigerations and leak gas, and a high hot gas temperature, low, measure the supercooling, low cooling pressures, so renew filling. And last cause is as the restriction between compressor and the condenser. So high hot gas temperature, low cooling powers, so check lines and valve. These are the problems which we can check through the gauges, but there are some other faults. So in other faults is also there is symptoms which you can what is the cause and what is the effect and remedy. So how we can check symptoms? So hot gas temperature too high, the hot gas lines becomes so hot that it cannot be touched long with the hand. Its cause is a lack of generation oil, increased compressor wear, and refill the refrigeration oils. So this type of fault is you can check only without the gauges. And second symptom is that compressor does not start. The pressure switch or any other safety features has triggered. Electrical fault, cylinder filled with liquid refrigerant. So its possible effect is system stopped. Remedy is check the control unit, check the causes for switching, and rectifies. Control units mean power switch and thermostat. And third symptom, compressor switches continuously. So its causes is a switching difference too small, triggering of switching element, overpressure switch, low pressure switch, lack of a refrigerant, and fan defective, and the last one is overfilled. These are the causes, and possible effect is a cycling of the compressor, increased wear, too low cooling power, and its remedy is check the control unit, check the cause of the switching, and rectify. Fourth one is that excessive overheating, expansion valve digested and screen blocked, lack of refrigerant, low cooling power, hot gas temperature too high. Replace expansion valve, clean the screen, fill in a refrigerant leak test. Hoar frost on inlet side of the evaporator. In too much ice, but in inlet sides on the evaporator. What is the cause? Incorrectly working expansion valve, lack of refrigerant, and possible effect too low in feed of refrigerant into the evaporator. check the expansion valve, check the refrigerant filling. Evaporator fully covered with frost. If the evaporator is fully covered, then what is the cause? Is that load problem, too low airflow volume, and its possible effect is low cooling power of the system. And its remedy is that clean the evaporator, check the evaporator fan. And the second last symptoms, fluid line is warm and shows condensations. Its causes is that the pressure drop in the fluid line, filter dry clogged, and its possible effect low cooling power. So eliminate the pressure drop, replace the filter dryer. And last symptoms, exceptionally cold pressure line, wet intake of the compressor due to insufficient overheating of evaporator. Its possible effect is low cooling power, excessive wearing of the compressors, and its remedy is that clean the compressor, replace if necessary, replace the expansion valve if the necessary. So this is the other faults which we can find with symptoms, and we can clear that. You can see the remedies. So this is the some other faults which we can find noise in the systems. So first fault is the V-belt loose or excessively worn. Its possible effect is that the V-belt slip and generate noise. Its remedy is retention or renew the belt. Second is the magnetic clutch loud. Magnetic clutch run until high pressure build up, then clutch starts to slip. It means repair or replace the magnetic clutch, replace the compressors. Third is the refrigerant compressor is loud. Possible cause is that mounting bracket is loose, internal part worn, low oil level in the compressors. Its remedy is repair the mounting bracket, replace the compressor, renew the refrigeration oil. You put the new oil, compressor oils. And fourth fault is the fan is loud, fan motor excessively worn. So it's a replace the fan motor. Whistling and rattling noise in the operation, noticeable unevenness when turning by hand. So cause is a V-belt pulley and bearing worn. Replace the bearing, check the V-belt pulley for wear. Rattling noise or vibration of a high pressure line, knocking noise in compressor, ball in the inspection glass floating at the top. It causes a system overfilled. Draw out refrigerant. The second last is expansion valve loud. So excessive moistures in the system, its remedy is replace the dryer. That bottles received dryer have to replace. Last one is that hissing noise in the evaporator housing on expansion valve, turbidity in inspection glass or ball does not float. So a refrigerant level in the system too low, its remedy is the perform a leak test, fill up the system.